What is going on, and welcome back to the channel. So in the last video, as you guys saw, we relocated the battery to the trunk in the STI. Now, I was trying to go around and find somewhere local that would sell all the stuff that I need to actually wire the battery up. Of course, nobody had any of it, so I had to order it all on Amazon. I don't have everything yet. The last thing I'm waiting on should be out for delivery right now. Well, at least tracking says it's out for delivery, but they already dropped stuff off. So I don't know where this other one is, so hopefully it does get dropped off today. But I've been trying to search everywhere on like supplies needed to properly relocate the battery to the trunk back here. Couldn't find a single video, couldn't find a single list. So everything that I'll be using, I'll link down in the description, because I had to like try to source all this stuff, try to figure out what I wanted to use, what was the best to use. It was annoying. It was annoying to do. But let me show you guys the battery situation right now, and then let me show you the supplies we have. I've never done this before. I have no idea how to do this. I've watched some videos. I have a general idea of how to wire this battery in. We'll figure it out. As you guys remember, we did move the battery to the trunk back here. It's already bolted in, ready to go. It's not going anywhere. Now, for everything that I could find that I need, I found this. Well, I didn't find, but I bought these off of Amazon. These are just 0 gauge. A lot of people call them aught gauge, and it was throwing me off at first when I was hearing that. I guess it's just like a fancy way of saying 0 gauge, but this is 0 gauge, red wire, 0 gauge, black wire. The black is obviously our ground. The red is obviously our power. I did buy a circuit breaker, so that way if anything does flip or the system does freak out, it'll just pop the breaker instead of trying to like replace like fuses and things like that. I got a couple, well, I got 2 of these, one power stud, one ground stud, because the way I want to do this is just run this power cable from the trunk up into the engine bay to this stud, and then everything that we need to pull power off of, we'll just pull power off of this stud instead of running like multiple different power sources throughout the car. And then I had to buy this tool. So this is how you crimp on all of the connectors for this wire. So you strike it with a hammer, it like pierces down on the connectors. That's what I'm waiting on right now, is just the electrical connectors for the ends of these. So what we can start doing is getting like the ground set up. We can get the circuit breaker put in place, these little studs in place. It'll be fun. So I think we're gonna start with just getting this mounted up. I already found a spot where I want to put this. So I'm kind of thinking like right up here is a good spot for the circuit breaker. It's like right next to the battery. The power is right here, so we just got to run it to right there, and then we can get the ground situation figured out. So I'm pretty sure underneath all of these little black dots, there's holes, or there's got to be somewhere back here where I can ground a battery. We have an entire frame rail right here. If I need to drill through the frame rail and thread it, we can do that also, just have a good ground for the battery. So let's just start easy and get our circuit breaker installed, and then we'll start figuring out this ground situation. First up, let's get the circuit breaker in. So I really do think that that's probably like the best spot for it right there. So all I'm gonna do is come in here, and I'll hold it with my thumb and just drill the 2 holes to be able to mount this guy up right here. It shouldn't be bad at all. Is that straight? I do want to make sure it's like level. It doesn't have to be, but it'll just look better if it is. Come on, baby girl. Baby girl. Come in here and deburr these guys up. We can shove our first bolt through there. Grab a washer. Grab a washer if I can grab it. Grab it. Come on, there we go. Go in your home. I feel like this is the easy part right now, is just getting this guy in. Boom, circuit breakers. Ah, what was that? Oh yeah, dude, that thing's like solid. It ain't going nowhere. Nowhere! Let's grab the red wire and we'll measure our length from here to there. Then we can get that wire set aside. Out of everything I bought, I didn't buy anything to cut this, but that's all right. That's all right. So we're gonna be going from right there. We're gonna have it wrapped down. I gotta take into account the path that we're going here. It's all right, so we'll have it just come up, down, and then go to our battery right there. So I'll leave a little bit of slack. So I'm gonna cut it right there. Now I didn't buy anything to cut this, and I really should have. Okay, but these work fine. It's garage shears. So this will be our jumper going from the battery up to the circuit breaker. So we've got that wire all nicely cut. We can just set that guy right there. Let's get our fuse post put in up there, so that way we know how long to make our wire. Let me play around in the engine bay, find a spot to mount this, because if I can retain the stock wiring and not have to redo like the fuse box, power wire, the starter wire, all that stuff, that'd be ideal. So let me find a spot for that. So I've got the terminal put in place over here. So I mounted it up in one of the stock holes right here. It fit perfectly. And then I put a self-tapper through the other one, and that stud is not going anywhere. So I do need to get caps for this, so don't worry. We're gonna have caps to protect all of this, so that way we don't accidentally like shock ourselves or anything like that. But this works perfect. So fuse box comes straight down stock wiring, gets power off of that stud. The starter wire, which I don't know where I put it, right over there. So starter wire, same thing. It's gonna go from the starter on this end, flow all the way through. That's gonna connect up to the stud and pull power to power the starter. Now, I forgot how the grounds go. So I know that this ground right here goes to the starter, but I don't know where on the starter it goes. I think it grounds to the actual bolt that goes through the bottom of it into the transmission, but I don't 100% remember, so I'm gonna have to do a Google to find that one out. So now that we've got all of that done, we have our circuit breaker in place, we have our power stud in place up here. Let's go find a ground location in the trunk, so that way we can figure out how to ground this battery. So I'm kind of thinking, I don't know, let me peel up some of these little like black tabs right up here on top of the frame rail, just to see if any of those are actually like threaded holes or anything like that, because if so, that would work out perfect. If not, I'll drill a hole in this. I can tap it, so that way we can run a bolt through it, depending on how thick the frame rail is. If not, we can put like a riv nut or something in there. I still don't get along with riv nuts very well, but I mean, we'll make something work here. Well, Amazon has yet again failed me, and they only delivered 4 out of 5 packages, and the 5th one is the important one because I need that one, because that is all of the ring terminals and butt connectors for all of the wiring. So I can't really run wiring if I can't bolt it up and gauge where I need to put it. So this video will resume another day. We are back with the continuation of the battery. I think it's 3 or 4 days later at this point. Amazon was so late delivering these. When these were supposed to be prime like one day, it's not blaming anyone. We got them. That's all that matters. So with these terminals, now we can actually start getting them on the 1 or the 0 gauge wiring, and to actually get this battery install complete, what I'd like to test it to see, well, we are going to test it. I wouldn't like to test it. We're 100% going to test it to make sure it all works. I need to figure out the starter wiring still. I think I've got it figured out. There's supposed to be a bracket that goes on the starter for the ground. I don't know where I put that bracket, so I'm gonna have to, if I have it in the garage, we're gonna play round 3 of where's that part? Because I keep doing this to myself. I need a bigger area to be able to like organize and store stuff, but I also got the spark plugs for this thing, so we're actually gonna find out today how hard is it to put spark plugs in this engine. So I've got 6 NGK 2309. Is that 6? Is there 4 in that bottom box? It doesn't feel like it. There better be. Is there? Okay, yeah, there is. I've got 6 NGK 2309s. This is just what I'm going to be running in this engine for a while until anyone has a better recommendation for spark plugs, but for now that'll work. I also need to figure out coil packs for this car. If anybody has an idea that would be good and sufficient for the power we're going to be making for coil packs, by all means, I'm all ears. Let me know, because we got that giant yellow bundle up there that is for all of our ignition coils. So let me start off doing spark plugs on this. I don't think it'll be too difficult. I mainly want to get the spark plugs in here just so we don't have any issues with like anything potentially getting into the cylinders. That's the last thing I want. So let's toss them in. I personally don't think this will be as bad as people made it out to seem. Like, the engine sits so much more forward than it did before that it honestly looks like spark plugs are going to be a breeze on this. So we've got you that goes in there, get you nice and, look at that, dude. That's so easy. That's so easy. That's the easiest spark plug change I've ever had to do. Well, I'm not even changing it. Easiest spark plug install I've ever had to do. What about you? Middle one? Easy. Easy money. Yo, once again, really not bad. Who said spark plugs on this were gonna be bad? Who said that? Raise your hand. Raise your hand. This is easy. It's only easy because how far forward the engine sits. I should clarify that. Oh, spark plugs are in. All on that side. Let's do the other side. So I don't quite know what I'm doing right now. I've got this fun tool where you put the wire in there and smack it. So we're gonna start with something a little bit easier. We're gonna start with just this jumper wire that we cut last time, which I should probably like measure out where I'm cutting. Right about there. So this is our jumper wire from the battery to the circuit breaker. So all I'm doing right now is just cutting off the rubber coating, or making an attempt to, with some pliers. Or with some pliers, with some razor blades. Razor blade, singular. So now that we've got that off, we can get that. Oh, dude, that's some thick boy wire. We're gonna grab one of these little heat shield guys. We can slide that over once it's in. So now we take this guy and we lift up on it. Slide our terminal in there with our wire. And then we just smack it, I believe. I believe we just smacked. So I'm gonna hold the wire in and just give it a couple more good love taps. I'm gonna do one on the bottom too for just reassurance. It's a fun tool. I don't know how many times I'm supposed to hit it, but it's kind of fun. Kind of relieves some stress. But let me pull on that terminal. That terminal is not coming off, dude. So now that we have the terminal on there, we can slide this guy over it. Bro, they only gave me 4 pieces? I only bought this kit because it was Prime, and it definitely... 10 out of 10, don't recommend this kit. I'll link below a better one. Bam, now we get to use this fun tool again. And smack it. That's kind of nice, dude. It's a nice tool. Dude, that thing is like super on there now. Dope, let me grab the heat gun. We'll heat up these, and then I think we have our first cable done. Look at that. You guys, we have our first cable done. We have our jumper cable from the circuit breaker over to the battery done. I'm proud of this. I am genuinely proud of this cable. I don't know why, but I am, all right? So I was about to scrap this video. I still might. I don't know. I haven't decided yet, but ground cable for the battery. Have this one pretty much figured out. So that's gonna go to the battery right there. No, that's gonna go to the chassis. This one up here, I need to get a terminal for to be able to go up to the battery itself. This one is going to go from the battery to the circuit breaker. Next up, back here in the trunk, we've got our circuit breaker with one of these very long wires. Now I'm thinking about running the wire up and along through there, down and then up. Yes, I can easily move the battery over here if I wanted to. I really don't feel like drilling out rivets and moving it over here, so it's gonna stay right there. So we're gonna have the wire run up right there with all of these other wires, come up right here, come up the firewall, and then go through that hole right there. That hole comes out somewhere over there. That is where the sound generating tube used to go for the stock EJ with the stupid sound tube that went up there. So once we get it through that hole, I'm gonna run it up the top of the firewall where you're not gonna see it. It's gonna come down behind all of the stock fuel lines and then go down to right there. So I feel like that's the best path for this. There could be an easier way, I don't know, but that's how I'm going to do it. So let's get that red wire way back there routed up here. So I just got back from the live stream, that's why it's a little bit darker out, but I got it figured out and I got it working. I just tested it. So our main cable for power comes up in front of the fuse box, goes up to our ground stud over there. On the ground stud, I have power to the starter and the fuse box at this point. So that cable just runs, I'm gonna zip tie it up and obviously clean it up a little bit, but it runs through the grommet that's in there. Inside of the car, it runs from down underneath there, it'll go under the carpet, all the way back through here, flip around, goes all the way back to the trunk. And then back here in the trunk, don't judge the ground right now, that's temporary until I get the riv nuts to be able to put a riv nut right there, all right? Just don't judge it yet. So it is grounded, it's not the best ground in the world, but it works. So we have power going from the battery right there, up and around to our circuit breaker. And then we have power going from the circuit breaker up to our like power stud up in the front of the car. So if we come right here and we turn the circuit breaker on, obviously you're gonna see lights turn on here. No, you're not, because I turned them off. What was that? Why did we just beep? I don't know why it just beeped, but check it out. So if we turn running lights on, power. Dude, this is so dope. Look, hey, look, I have nothing in the interior. Check it out, blinker still works. Blinker still works just fine. You don't need all the fancy stuff in there to make blinkers work. For some reason, blinkers work. So blinkers work, headlights up there work, headlights on, off. We have windshield wipers. Oh God, that came right at me. Bro, it worked. I don't quite know how, so if I turn everything off, I'm gonna turn it all off right now. Let me set up my voltmeter. So with the voltmeter, I have the ground just kind of stuck in there right now, just so I can like do this one-handed. But if I grab the guy right here and I go to our stud and I just touch the stud, we're getting 28, roughly 28. Right now the battery's just on, so it's just draining a little bit, but about 27, 28. Divide that by 2, we get 13.5 to 14 volts up here. I don't know why that voltmeter reads like that, but it's really stupid. But our stud worked. Everything worked. And then if we come back here and we go to our circuit breaker, and we come right here and we just push the button on our circuit breaker, shuts off power to the car. Now, if we come back up here and we grab that voltmeter again, let me close this so I don't run into it like I know I will. So if we grab our dealio again and we go to the power, boom, we're just getting residual draw out of the cable at that point, which this is absolutely perfect. You can see it just going down as it's pulling all the power out. 0.2, 0.1, it's probably almost all out. And 0, bam, right there. Look at that. We successfully relocated a battery. That's my first time doing it. That was not, it really wasn't that hard at all. So you really need this tool right here to be able to like actually crimp the connections, especially on 0 gauge wire. It makes life so easy. These guys are what I was waiting for forever. So I have a decent amount of them left. I'll probably still need some of them here in the future because I have to ground out some other things in the car, but this was extremely handy to have. I did use one of them as a test right here when I was first practicing with that little like striking guy. Definitely made life easier. These terminals also make life a ton easier. I may end up putting, you know, actually I'm gonna put another grounding point in the rear of the car just since I have that already. So for the starter wire, I just lopped off the end of the starter wire, shortened it, and then put one of these connectors on there. It worked absolutely perfect. So we have our starter right there. The wire just wraps back and around and then just grounds out to where, it ground out stock with the stock battery location spot. But I'm pumped for this, you guys. Like, it may not seem like a big achievement. I've never done it before. Pretty happy with the result. I just need to finish the ground for the battery itself because that is a very temporary solution just to be able to test with. So I'll order the riv nuts tonight to be able to riv nut that hole right there, so that way we can get this thing properly grounded out. But that circuit breaker, that's dope. I like that idea. So you guys wanted a trunk mounted battery. I gave you a trunk mounted battery and it works. I'm super pumped that it works. So that's all I got for you guys in this one. Hopefully this helps you guys figure out how to route these, how to run them. It's really not that hard. The last thing I have to do is buy the bracket that goes on the transmission and the starter to be able to ground the starter out, just because that's the only thing in the main electrical system here that's not grounded. So in the next video, we're gonna start actually applying power to the Haltech. I wanted to do that in this one, but I'm still waiting on wire to be dropped off from Amazon. So it is what it is. Amazon's just taking a little bit longer. It's not the end of the world. But if you guys liked the video, if this helped you, like I said, also I'm gonna link all this stuff down below because this was like stupid, like annoying trying to like source all these parts. So I'll link it all down below. But if this helped you guys, go ahead and hit that like button, turn it black, blue, green, yellow, purple, cyan, silver, whatever color it turns for you. Color of the day is gonna be electric yellow because we got the electricity to work in the car. We got it to work. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, hit your boy up one of these corners. No idea which one I'll put it in quite yet, but it'll be in one of them. And with that, I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, homies.